Welcome to the castle of Grand Bigard. I'm the owner of the domain. In fact, I'm the 40th owner since the beginning when this domain was built. If you can see on my right side, you have the donjon, the tower. The tower is in fact the origin of the site because it was a tower, a defensive tower and observation tower. In the 14th century, it was built in the 14th century, it used to be somewhere you can see all around if something happened or if somebody is coming, and you can inform the city of Brussels if a problem happened. In the 17th century, the castle on my right side was built as a Château de Plaisance, which is completely different from the donjon, which is a defensive construction. The castle is mostly a construction to enjoy life. The way of living was, of course, completely different. And in the 18th century, the gardens were created in the idea of the garden in France. Jardin à la française, like in some castle in France. Also, some part of the park is Jardin à l'anglaise, which is different style. It's Jardin à la française are straight. And Jardin à l'anglaise are more natural and more wild. The castle has an history of the different owner who succeed in the ownership. Some have very big problems. For instance, in the 17th century, the 16th century, sorry, in the time of Charles Quint, it was the repression of Protestants in all this part of the country. And the owner on that time were convinced of being Protestant, and they refused to change their religion, they refused to take the Catholic religion, so they were simply executed. Later on, the castle went to some well-known families. For instance, one of the last well-known family was the family of Tour et Taxis, who were a family very important in this region and also in Europe, because it's a family who, in fact, create the post organization. From Italy, they were transporting the mail from the different corps to other regions, and they became extremely important. They developed the system in Europe, in Austria, in Germany, in the Low Countries, in the Pays-Bas, and that was one of the owners of this family in the 18th century. Now, my family is owner of the castle since the end of the 19th century, and we are trying to continue the tradition, and we do everything in order to see our successor continuing to maintain and to restore also this patrimony. In order to support the investments and the cost of maintenance and restoration, we have developed in the domain several activities. One of the main activities is our Floralia exhibition every spring time in the year. We have planted more than 1 million bulbs of tulips in the park. We plant it in autumn, and in the springtime, which is now, you see all the flowers blooming, and in that time the park is open to the visitors, and we have enormous visitors coming to watch the exhibition, and it's a important success, and it contributes to the economical situation and economical, I should say, management of the domain, which is extremely important to afford the cost of maintenance. Other activities are events. We are doing some wedding parties. We are doing some events for companies. We are doing some, I should say, family days in the summer. And all together we are quite busy all around the year. This is our French garden. It was created at the end of the 18th century, and it's typical from the garden were created in France, for instance, to Versailles. That was the first garden created by the King Louis XIV, and who made an example that was followed by a lot of other castles in that time. The staircase are the same as the staircase of Parc de Saint-Cloud in Paris. You see the trees, they are taxus, and they are typical also of these type of gardens in that time. Here you have an example of garden à l'anglaise, which is different from garden jardin à la française, because they are not straight, there are no straight lines, it's only curved, it's not flat, it's a movement in the ground, and you have trees, and it was typical of the way of doing in the parks also. You have our cascade, which is the little river who is falling in the pond there. And in fact you have very beautiful trees in this garden. Very old trees. Most of the trees have 300 years old. It's a real patrimonium of this park, because trees are, you know, something important in a park. Dear friend of historic houses, thank you for your attention. You are of course most welcome to visit our park during the Floralia Brussels, in fact, which take place every year in April from the 3rd of April up to the 3rd of May. Welcome, and I hope to see you again.